Hello, princesses, and welcome back to Not Fit for Print Beauty with me, Rebecca. Today we have a jam-packed full video, concealer and eyeshadow. We are going to be starting with the brand new Fenty Beauty We're Even concealer, and then we're going to go right into the new Pat McGrath Labs Heart's Desire collection. So happy to have you here. Don't forget that you can also check out my content over on Instagram, TikTok, and on Threads. Okay, let's get started here today. We are very busy and some of you might only be interested in one product or one aspect of one product. If that's the case for you, or you're just in a mad rush today, don't forget that I will timestamp the heck out of this thing. You can see that down below in the description bar, or you can just scroll along up top. Everything I mention is going to be linked below as well for your purchasing pleasure, along with information about our $4.99 a month private members group here on YouTube, and ways you can give super thanks and all that good stuff. All right, first of all, let's give some information here on these products, and then we are going to demo and wear test them. The Fenty Beauty We're Even concealer comes in 50 shades. 50 shades. We are used to that from Fenty. They are a very, very inclusive brand. Thank you, Riri. I purchased two shades. I purchased 225N, which is much more my undertone. I'm a neutral. I'm a light medium neutral. But I also went ahead and got the 220W. I went a bit warm, and we're going to use that one under the eyes. When you go warmer than you would usually go, gives it a tiny bit of an apricot tinge. Helps with color correcting in my experience, but we're going to try them both today. This is supposedly a 12-hour hydrating, long wear, waterproof formula with medium coverage and a second skin feel. It is $30 if I didn't mention, and again, 50 shades. Now, whenever I talk about concealer, you guys know that I like to do, or if you've seen my concealer reviews, you know that I like to do what's called a concealer spectrum. Now, this I started, forever ago, back when I was just doing magazine beauty editing, and I found that when you compare a concealer, even a foundation, but mostly a concealer, people like what they like. If they like a big, thick, cakey, I think they're cakey. But if they like big, thick shades that you really got to blend and use sparingly, then that's what they're looking for. And if they like a little bit thinner, more watery type of coverage that spreads really easily and is foolproof, that's what they're looking for too. So I like to see that as a concealer. On one side of the concealer, I put Pat McGrath's concealer, Good Apple's concealer, the original Tarte Shape Tape, including the creamy Tarte Shape Tape. Very thick. Use it very sparingly. I'm talking doe foot concealers here, and you really got to blend, and to me they cake like crazy. I can't stand them. On the other end of the spectrum, I put Armani Power Fabric, thin and light and easy to spread, and you can put it on while talking and it's never going to cake on you. Valentino has a concealer that belongs down there too. Now please keep in mind, and this is very important, there is texture to a concealer. I know I'm a concealer connoisseur. Stay with me here. No lagging behind. There is texture to a concealer and coverage. They actually are two different things. That Pat McGrath concealer at this thick end of the spectrum that I mentioned, that has super thick coverage and super thick consistency. I think the Armani Power Fabric on this end is super thin, but I think that has good medium coverage, so it really depends. Smack dab in the middle of our spectrum are some of the newer ones. Let's see, Natasha Denona is really kind of creamy and medium, and Charlotte Tilbury is kind of creamy and medium. Tower 28, a little bit lighter, medium coverage though. House Labs, a little bit in the medium, but towards thicker, really nice, thick, serious coverage on the House Labs. But the House Labs concealer is so much thinner than Pat McGrath. It is a whole spectrum. Well, believe it or not, this Fenty, well, it has medium coverage. I think it's actually medium plus, to be honest with you. It's got a very thin consistency, different than its coverage. It is very spreadable. It is mistake proof. It goes all the way kind of towards the Giorgio Armani Power Fabric. On the thinner side, a little bit of the consistency of the Gucci concealer or the Tower 28 concealer, if you are familiar with either of those newer concealers, and it matches their coverage too. I think this might actually be a little bit more coverage than the Tower 28 and the Gucci. We'll call it medium plus. How about that? And I am going to demo it and wear test it. I'm not even wearing any foundation today. We're just going to wear this stuff right here. Stick around for that. Don't forget about the timestamps. Okay, now we got a limited edition thing here for what that's worth from Pat McGrath. I roll my eyes at limited edition. It means different things with different brands, you know. NARS says limited edition, they mean it. Pat McGrath, she means it, but I feel it'll go on sale in 10 minutes, you know. So this is the Pat McGrath Labs Heart Desire Collection. There's a lipstick, there's a highlighter, but I went ahead and grabbed the limited edition Daring Desire Eyeshadow Quad. It is $56. And has a little mirror. Now this is, let's look at the packaging first. It's obviously for Valentine's Day. It is cardboard. This is not a typical Pat McGrath heart case. I mean, this is definitely a Valentine's Day promotion, limited edition palette. It's very pretty. Kind of has that dark love feeling. Kind of very Pat McGrathy, right? And inside of it, an interesting color story. I didn't know what to make of it first, you'll see in the demo, but we have these 3 kind of shimmer shades and then this one matte shade that really grounds the palette. It's an interesting color story. I'm not sure it's one I would have put together, but as you can see, I've already done the demo and I'm wearing it, and I kind of like it. In the demo, I was very unsure though. We need to take a look at some swatches here. First of all, here we go. In studio lighting, here is the Pat McGrath Labs limited edition Daring Desire palette for $56. It's very pretty. It really is. I didn't pick up the highlighter. I couldn't tell if it had been done before or hadn't been. She's not very transparent about that kind of thing, so I was like, forget it. I got enough. I do like her highlighters though. So let me know down below if you picked up this highlighter and what you think of it, the powder highlighter. Let's see this a little bit better outside in the warm California sunshine. Very sunny day out here. And I try to really get in there and show you how that kind of purpley black green shade shifts. See if you can catch those shifts. I'm trying to move my arm around there in the light for you guys so that you can really see it. All in all, these are 2 totally different products that I think play quite well together, and I'm going to show you that, I hope, in the demo that is just coming up. Take a moment, please, and make sure that you are subscribed to this channel. I want to get to 20,000. We're gaining speed and momentum, and I need your help to get there. Have a great giveaway and Q&A and all sorts of fun stuff, so make sure you're subbed. Okay, let's go to the demo now and take a look. I'm especially interested in you seeing my turnaround with the palette and how in the world this Fenty product works. Stay right there. Let's get started with the Fenty concealer. I have nothing on my face except morning skincare that has completely sunken in. We have 2 shades, as you know. One is a bit warmer, and we'll try that under the eyes to see if it has any color correcting properties. And then the neutral shade, which is much more my undertone, we will use on the rest of the face just for various little blemishes and such. You know my spiel when we do a concealer video, so definitely look for timestamps below if you've heard all of this before. But I do have random redness from allergies. I happen to have a blemish right here. Tomorrow you'll see a color corrector video. So lots of just color correcting and concealing going on. But the biggest reason that I need concealer or tomorrow color corrector is because around my eyes I have dark gray purple. I like to call it sing it if you know it, dark pits of despair. Here you go. You can take a look at them in all of their hideousness and terror. They are just awful. It is here and around. I don't have sunken in as much, a little bit though, but I don't have puffiness or redness. I have darkness that looks like I haven't slept in a very long time, which is kind of true, but you know. Okay, so let's go ahead and give this a try. I'm going to start with the more neutral shade because I'm going to let that sit on the face a little bit longer than we need to. When you're covering up a blemish or a spot, then you want to let it sit a little longer than you would need to if it's under the eyes. So I put it onto that blemish right there because we don't want to see that blemish anymore. And then, I don't know how my color choice is. This is a little light, actually. But, you know, I don't get really, if you can take me seriously speaking to you while polka dotted, I don't get really worked up too much, maybe I should, but about the color too much of concealer. If it's deep, it kind of works to color correct. If it's light, I cover it up anyway with a foundation usually. So I don't get too worked up about that. People say, oh, which shade do you use and this and that? I'm like, I kind of have 4 and whichever one I grab. And that honestly is the truth. If I could be completely truthful with you. All right, let's try this under one eye right here. I'm letting this kind of sit for just a moment and I'll blend. It's a little bit too light, but that's okay. Now it blends super nicely. I did let it sit just for a moment, especially over here, because this is a blemish that's very yucky. It knew I had a concealer video one day and a color corrector video the next day, so my face played along, I guess. I tried a new cleansing oil, and it came right after that. I won't tell you which one it was, because obviously it's not one I'm going to recommend. Okay, so let's blend that in there. Oh, it did a nice job concealing that. Nice medium coverage. Looking a little bit blotchy because it's a little bit too light. Okay, but that's okay. Let's go ahead now and use this warmer shade to see if we can cover up some of these dark pits of despair, namely on this eye here. And it's a little warmer, which gives it more of an apricot shade, and I'm hoping that will do a little bit of color correcting. Could I use it over a color corrector? Sure, I could. All right, I'll let that sit just for a moment. It really doesn't need to sit as long as anything that was on a blemish, but that is hiding that blemish very nicely and blending into the skin pretty well. This one definitely a warmer shade. Okay, same Sonia G Fusion brush, which I cannot live without, for concealer and for foundation. I really, truly cannot live without it. Okay. And it looks like I'm being so harsh. I promise you guys I'm not. I just have like aggressive hand movements. I don't know. Okay, oh nice, very nice. And going that little bitty shade warmer on the eyes, which is something I recommend within your skin tone, a little bit of the warmer shade, gives it a little more color correction. Very nice concealer. Take a look here. So here we go. We just have the concealer. No color corrector, nothing. And then this side right here has, of course, no treatment at all. The dark pits of despair are on full display, and they are not covered up. Oh, I am very impressed, and that is very light and nice to wear. Let me speed this up and do the other eye. Well, color me impressed. I think that was very easy. It's a very thin formula, but with wonderful coverage, actually. And remember, there's a difference between the feel of the formula and the amount of coverage. They actually are different, especially with today's technology with concealers. Well, impressed am I. We'll do a little wear test and come back and talk about it, but I also want to try on this really interesting, don't know if I'm going to say beautiful, let's say interesting for now, Pat McGrath new quad. So I'll be back in a few hours. Stay right there. Okay, it's been 5 hours. So let's just really quickly do a little bit of a wear test talk about this concealer before we get into this interesting. Remember, I'm not calling it beautiful. The jury is kind of still out on this Pat McGrath quad. Let's just talk about this first. Now, I do not have any powder on. I do not have any primer, no setting spray, and no foundation. Even though the color's a little odd, I just kind of put a little blush over it. We're just going with it. Because I don't want, when I test a foundation, when I test a concealer, I want to know what the problem was and not get it all confused. We have a little bit of separation here in 5 hours. This needs some powder. So why didn't you powder it? Because it depends on the powder, and I don't know what powder you have. So it needs a little powder, and honestly, it would be fine. It's nothing crazy, okay? All I did was put on, I have nothing on my lids. Just a little bit of mascara, and on the face it's settling. It's beautiful. It's not settling into any sort of lines. It's not creating creases here. Very rare. I usually get creases there. Now let's talk about how it's lasting. That blemish is still very well hidden. And what about the dark pits of despair? What do you think? Pretty good, isn't it? Pretty good for how comfortable it is and how easy to use. This is a good product from Fenty. Very easy to use, great coverage, very viscous and thin and easy to spread and easy to blend. Quite pleased with it. Does need a tad bit of powder under the eyes. On the face though, it is not sticky. I could have powdered it if I wanted to. Didn't have to. Would be great over a foundation. Would be lovely over a color corrector. Just to disguise any sort of the shade of the color corrector. Super, super pretty, wonderful product. Do I like it more than, say, House Labs? Boy, I love the House Labs. House Labs has the same coverage, but a tad bit of a thicker consistency. House Labs being my favorite of late. This is a thinner consistency, but the same amount of coverage. Kind of like Tower 28 or Gucci, or even Mario or Natasha. It's not as creamy as Natasha, not as creamy as Charlotte Tilbury. A little bit thinner, but better coverage than even Tower 28 or Gucci. I'm very pleased. I would say coverage equal to House Labs, slightly thinner consistency would be what I say. And I am becoming a kind of a connoisseur. Some people are like that with wines. I'm that way with concealers. What can I say? Okay, so let's look at this palette. Of course, I'm here for questions down below, you guys. I'm really in touch with this community if you're new here, so I will definitely answer you. Okay, let's look at this Daring Desire, this limited edition palette. It's got a purple in it that makes me go, ee! Except, because I don't love purple. You know, I should because I have green eyes, but the only reason this one gets me is it does kind of shift black and green. I tried to show you that when we were outside with the swatches. So let's take a look. I brought over a bunch of Sonia G brushes. We have one matte shade right here that I'm going to dip into, and it is strong. These are Pat McGrath shades. They don't play around. And I'm just going to put that into the corner there and just rotate the brush a little bit just to get a little bit of smokiness on the outer part of the eye. Boy, if you don't tap the brush off a bed, when I say tap, with a natural hair brush, I actually don't mean tap, I just mean kind of gently get it off a little bit, you're going to be in trouble. These are quite dark, unless you've got some mad skills, which we know I don't have. And I repeat myself so often, you guys, because we get new people on the channel all the time. I am not here to teach skill or tutorials. I'm a fashion and beauty editor, not a makeup artist. I have incredible respect for the makeup artists that I have interviewed and spoken to through the years, but I'm not one of them. I'm a reporter. I'm testing this stuff out and telling you what I know to look for. I'm putting that same matte shade under the eye. From my experience, but the artistry I leave up to you guys. That's a really pretty shade. Let's continue with Pat McGrath. No need for brush laundry. Take this beautiful pink. You had me at pink, Pat. And I'm going to just kind of gently spread that all over the mobile lid and into that kind of deep cocoa shade. Okay, so far, boy, I'm liking that. I like that combination of that blush pink and cocoa. Wow, that's super, super pretty. I'm going to switch brushes again to another Sonia G brush into this very light one here. I mean, that's ideal for the inner corner and a little bit onto the mobile lid. Doing the same look on each eye. I just want to test out all four of these formulas. Now, I saved this one, not necessarily the best one, but the one that's most confusing to me for last. And I'd like to do that kind of on the outer portion of the eye. And a little bit of the crease. It's coming off as very smoky, but I like that, actually. It's coming off as very smoky, very multi-chrome. I like it, though. Wow, okay. You know what saves this palette for me? The pink. Because I love pink. I just love pink. And the pink saves it, and the fact that this purple can go smoky, but it's a little subtle. And then you have this kind of champagne-y color and the matte. Okay, I'm going to go with Beautiful palette. It was interesting before it's been upgraded to Beautiful and limited edition. It's a nice one. Is it Pat McGrath's best palette? You better run and get it? No. Can you wait till it goes on sale like in an hour? Sorry, not trying to be rude. But yeah. Is it super pretty and you wouldn't regret having it? Yeah. And it also is a little bit unique for Pat McGrath. This color combination is a little bit unique. And to be honest with you, I'm enjoying it. I actually really, really am. It's quite pretty. So yeah, grab it. Grab it on sale, even better. Forget about it. Wake up 2 months from now, realize you never got it. You'll be okay. You got it, you'll use it, and you'll like it. You know what I mean? So, you know, we're not talking like a Charlotte Tilbury Fire Rose situation where you better grab it, you know what I mean? But it's a cute little palette. Now, I'll tell you this, with the Fenty, if you like that feeling of the kind of more viscous, like like Giorgio Armani Power Fabric or the lighter, more fluid concealer that's easy to blend, but you need that coverage because you got dark pits of despair or redness or whatever of your own, this is going to be a winner. I know Fenty products for complexion are up and down and, can't hit and miss. This is a hit, honestly. I wholeheartedly recommend this concealer to you. It's quite lovely, and I think you'll be very, very pleased with it. No scent, easy to blend. Look at this. Great complexion. I don't even have any foundation on, and Lord knows I need it. So very pleased about that. Pleased about both products, actually. Like I said, don't forget, tomorrow I'm doing this crazy Color Effects color corrector. You guys have got to see it. It's like deep red. You got to tune in tomorrow for that one. I got to give it a plug. It's really cool. And some Chantecaille tomorrow too. Fun stuff happening on this channel this weekend. Let me know any questions you have. Do you need some comparison swatches from this Pat McGrath palette and other Pat McGrath or across brands? What do you need? Did you have any questions about concealer that I didn't answer? I am here for you. You can ask them down below, or any comments about anything else. You want to talk about the weather? I'll talk about the weather. Whatever it is that you need, you let me know. Don't forget to subscribe, of course, and like and share and all of that good stuff. And I'm looking forward to seeing each and every one of you in the next video. Bye-bye.